Hello, everyone. This is Attorney Gehi, and welcome to this program brought to you by Gehi and Associates, attorneys at law. And it's such a beautiful Saturday morning out here in New York. And I'm joined by some wonderful people from my team. Firstly, a big thank you to Ashrat, as well as to Sabrina Matthew for making this happen, as well as our technical team. And today, we are joined from different parts of the United States and the world. So we have Mira from our Bombay office. Welcome, Mira. It's wonderful having you. And we have Sonu from our Texas office, and Naresh and Gehi from the New York office. And we have Maliha, who actually is from, who works with us in the US office. So it's going to be a great session. So Sonu is an attorney and Mira is a manager. And Maliha works very closely with me. And of course, Ashwat, as well as, Sabrina, they're just amazing people. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the headlines from the world of immigration. And I'll be joined by Attorney Sonu, and who's from our Texas office. And we'll have a brief discussion as to what's going on, especially in the employment-based arena of immigration. So Sonu, you've been a background about Sonu. Sonu is highly experienced in employment-based immigration. He's very, very, very highly experienced in investor visas, E2 visas, J visas, H1Bs, perm labor certifications, EB1As, EB2, EB3s. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm the principal. I've done it all. So the way these sessions are going to work is you can ask us any question relating to immigration. And we practice immigration from all over the United States and the world. As you can see, we also have an office in Mumbai for people who have consular processing issues and whose visas have been denied. And that's Gehi Law India, is for India, and for the US, it's gehilaw.com. So folks, let's begin with what's going on with H1Bs. Sonu, I heard some interesting news, and I'm going to explain it to our viewers, is that the H1B cap will be reopening again. What is your analysis of that, please?
Yes. So over this week, USCIS announced that they are going to conduct a second lottery. They have done in the past, like 2-3 years ago, they did 2 or 3 times the lottery. So this time also, they are conducting a second lottery, and the result will start coming probably over this weekend. And by Monday, the employers will get to know who has been selected. So the folks who were not selected in the first lottery, they might want to check with their employer whether they have been selected this time or not.
All right. So folks, for example, you've already applied for the lottery and your name was missed out in the lottery system. Bad luck has its course. Happy days may be here again. And if a name is selected in the lottery, the good thing you'll be eligible. So this is fantastic news coming from the world of immigration, that they're going to kind of revisit the lottery program and make sure that whoever gets selected will get the second bite of the apple. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Now, Mira and I also deal with a lot with the Bombay office. Now, Sonu, our Bombay office is helping people with consular processing. Now, let's focus on our H1B part of it. There are people who are going back, which I've seen. And I recently came across a case wherein not one, several of them, they go back over there, and when they go for the H1B stamping, they're getting stuck over there because of some kind of fraud. Now, when that fraud happens, my standard answer to people is that, whatever happened in the past, but there may be light at the end of the tunnel. Can you tell me what are the precautions that people need to take in order to avoid fraud when they visit the consulate? And our office in Mumbai has been helping them to review the paperwork and make sure that they're in perfect order.
Whoever is applying for visas, they should never misrepresent themselves before the US immigration. If you are misrepresenting yourself, you are just making a big blunder for any kind of future immigration to the United States.
All right. So it's a big blunder and things happen, but also, luckily, there are some waivers available under 235 of the INA. And in case on the point of the matter of Haranka.
Yes.
If you know of a relative who's stuck in India or in any other part of the world, there may be light at the end of that tunnel. And luckily, if you look at the leading case of Aranka, it's a reasonable kind of hardship you can show. And if the court officer is convinced, you can still get a visa back to the US. I've done this for people from other countries, or when people have been stuck and they've been able to come back. But prior results do not guarantee future outcome. So folks, this is a live session which is going on. And it's a Sunday morning here. And even if you're in India, if you're in the United States, feel free to text us your questions and we'll be happy to take the questions. Now, some other news about H-1B visa holders, Sonu, is a lot of people are getting laid off. Now, I tell them if you're getting laid off, don't be nervous, don't panic, because what I've done in those cases, I've helped people to extend the visas, and we've been doing a lot of hand-holding here, and that is important. Can you tell me why people should not get out of status? Why is it such a big problem when you become out of status? Why is it a worry to come back on status? And why people have to leave the country in such instances?
So first of all, H-1B folks who are getting laid off, they have 60 days to find a new employer. If they are not able to find a new employer, can file H-1B for them, they have to leave the United States. Otherwise, there's a thing called 3-year, 10-year bar.
Right.
If they're out of status for less than 180 days, there's a bar of 3 years. They cannot come back to US for at least 3 years.
Right. So that is under 212A9C3 of the INA. That's known as the unlawful presence bar. And you have to be very careful. So anytime, I think, let me explain this to a lot of people, is that no sooner getting a severance letter from the company, you can immediately get in touch with us. And our website is gehilaw.com. Or you can visit us. We handle immigration cases from all over the United States and the world. And you can reach out to us. We can really help you a lot during those difficult times, especially because a lot of people from all these big companies come to us. They tell them, Mr. Gehi, I'm in this dilemma. And we've been able to assist them to keep them on status and keep the ball moving. Now, Sonia based in Texas. So the good news is for people who are new to this, we have offices in New York, in Queens, that's in Ozone Park, Jackson Heights, and Jamaica, New York, and of course in Mumbai, India, in BKC, and also like we have an office in Texas. So Sonu is based in Texas. Sonu, can you tell the viewers where are you exactly located? Because people may want to come to you and meet with you.
Sure. Our office is located in Flower Mound, Texas, in heart of Dallas. It's accessible to all the suburbs of Dallas.
It's in Flower Mound, Texas, and and if someone wants to visit Sonu, they can see them, and the firm offers a free personal consultation. And Sonu, a couple of other things very important for a lot of our people who are in the H-1B world and who are in the perm labor certification world. The problem over the visa bulletin. Now, for the EB-1A, people are worried, but my analysis is that after 1 year or so, I think the priority dates will get a little better for people from India and China. What is your analysis about it?
About the visa bulletin, towards the end of fiscal year, every year, around August, September, the dates go backwards, generally speaking. But this time, the EB-1 went 10 years. But as the new fiscal year starts from October, the dates will move forward tremendously, a lot.
So you say that that's what I've been telling people. Do not stop with the EB-1A. Continue that. It's a great idea for you to proceed. Now, Sonu, we've been helping a lot of international companies. People have to understand, since I'm giving people some backup plans for the H-1B visa, especially IT companies. So what we've done in the past with a lot of companies is take an example, your IT company is growing a lot over here. And you're very much handicapped, and you have these wonderful people who want to come from China, they want to come from India, and they want to come from other countries. How can they kind of come out of this problem and have some solutions for a lot of people like you are in the corporate world? The number one solution is, like we have this India office also, we can help those companies to set up the branch office in India. This is one thing which you do. Not many law firms do that. We can set them up in India and they can have their employees working there for more than a year. They can hire employees. And once if the hiring is done, then that same person can come into the country on an L1A. The thing about the L1A, Sonu, is that no quota. And L1A is a manager. Can you explain people what a manager means under the L1A category?
So to qualify under L1A, you should have worked in that office abroad for at least 1 year in a managerial capacity. And then there are no salary requirement like for H1B, you have to pay prevailing wages. There are no such requirement for L1. And then there are no quotas also for L1. So there is no limit. Like H1B is for 60,000 folks, right? But there is no limit on L1. And then once a person is on L1, they can also qualify for EB1C, which is normally current. It's not backlog like EB2 and EB3. So that's another advantage of.
So what is the current situation of EB1C? Is it current or how is it going right now?
Right now, just this month, it went back 10 years, but this will move forward. Yeah.
So deliberately, we kind of revisited this question, especially for people, who actually are worried about the EB1A, EB1B, EB1C. But I think the good times are going to be back again. Now, there are some important things that people abroad, especially since you're Mira from the Indian office, they get in touch with our Indian office too sometimes, because, they're based in the US and they call us, they want to talk to the India office. That's why this program is meant for US Americans who want to talk to our India office too. So the question is that Sonu, sometimes what happens is that people are based in China, they're based in India, they're based in Malaysia. I tell people from other countries, like aside from India and from China, is to take advantage of the EB1A and the EB1B.
Yes. Yeah.
EB1A, and if you're located in a country like Indonesia, if you're in Bangladesh, or if you're in London, if you're in Holland, if you're in Scotland, if you're that brilliant man who has really kind of had a lot of fame in your country in any field of endeavor, the good thing about American law is you don't need a sponsor. Now, take an example. You might be a scientist. You'll be a well-known soccer player. You can be a well-known actress. People are crazy about the investor visa. You don't need an investor visa if you're Mr. Brilliant. You're that well-known artist. You're that well-known hero who acted in a movie. You acted in Bahubali. You're already well-known. You don't need an investor's visa. You can apply for a direct green card under the EB1A. We've been helping actors. We've been helping scientists. We've been helping researchers. We've been helping top entrepreneurs who have, and we've been helping people who've been in the media. You can be a well-known journalist. You just have to be well-known in your field of endeavor. And you should have received some major awards, publications on your name, and you should have been a speaker at prestigious associations, and you should be having membership in top associations, or even if you have won one major prize, like if you've been in the Guinness Book of World Records, or that's enough for you. Even that one major achievement can qualify for you for a direct green card. So it's not that difficult. There's a saying by one of the famous Nobel laureates who said, knowledge is power. And I think that knowledge about US immigration is missing a lot. And, let's go back, revisit this L1A. Someone asked me a question. He said, I have this big company right now, and I'm based in Mumbai. I want to start a branch office. What are the requirements? The first requirement is that you should have been in business for more than 1 year. That's the number one requirement I tell people. You should be financially sound. Now, there are people who said, I have 2 people working. That's not a developed company. That's not a solid company for Mr. Gehi, unless and until if you're in the diamond business, wherein your turnover is $5 million, I can understand. But if you are having a very small business, wherein your turnover is $10,000 a year, $5,000, don't even consider the L1A. You need to have a standing when you apply for an L1A, because this is practical, what I'm talking about. The concept wants to see you're a successful businessman. You have around 30 or 40 people working in an ID company. And plus you're dealing with the US. You're that dynamic entrepreneur that you've done, $5 million. Excellent. Doesn't matter. Those are the people you should consider. You've done $1 million, you can consider this. But it's a very subjective issue for a company. But who are the people who start companies? Entrepreneurs. You're very enterprising. You've been successful in your business. Start your branch office in the US. And that can be a game changer in your life. But there are tremendous opportunities in the US for people who want to start business. Now, Sonu, let's move to a different topic here. Firm audits, companies. I mean, we've been helping IT companies with the H-1Bs, etc. A lot of the lawyers take firm audits lightly. Can you talk about the penalties and the fines that can be imposed upon companies if they do not comply with the firm process properly?
Well, if the employers don't comply with all these firm regulations, there are very hefty fines. There are potential criminal proceedings that the US government can initiate, which can lead to a jail time too.
Yes. I know of a company wherein the person was in the state of Texas, actually, and was sent to jail for H-1B fraud. And one thing that companies should not do, and this is a big problem with IT companies and with employees. When a person is on bench, they exchange monies with those people and they run their payroll. That is a serious offense because that constitutes RICO. Now, people may not even know what is RICO because most immigration lawyers don't know anything other than immigration law. But at Gehi and Associates, we are very knowledgeable. We have a total team of more than 80 to 100 members that distinguishes us from a lot of other law firms. So RICO means racketeering and corrupt organizations, which means if you're paying money back to the employee and the employee is accepting the money, and if there's a whistleblower in your company, a whistleblower is someone who spreads that information there, that company in the US can be in trouble. And the employee can be in bigger trouble too. Because an encourager of tyranny is a tyrant himself. Is the golden dome that controls people who live in the United States. So do not get into tyrant acts. Better let the employee go. And also, people forget one other thing, Sonu. They do not give the employee the one-way ticket.
Yes.
When your employee leaves the company, give them a one-way ticket, tell him goodbye. Don't care whether he uses the ticket or not, what he does. But it is your duty as an employer to give him the one-way ticket. And I don't think so that happens a lot soon.
No, that doesn't happen.
So that is critically important. And I believe the law has to be respected. That's why I tell a lot of these IT companies that your immigration lawyer does not only have to be an immigration lawyer, he has to be your auditor also. He has to make sure that your company is kept in good standing. He has to make sure that there's no blemish on the record of the company. And I don't think so that a lot of immigration lawyers even conduct internal audits, Sonu, because they don't know how to conduct audits.
Correct.
Not all of them. Some of them are really good, but that's a specialty by itself.
Yes.
You have to know what are fines. You have to know how to appear before the Department of Labor. You have to know how to fight those cases. You have to agree with the officer and you have to disagree with the officer.
Correct.
And that's how these things are actually resolved. So, Sonu, one other thing about the visa bulletin, what's going on with the EB2 and the EB3 categories these days? Do you see any hope for China?
I don't think so. Not at least in the near future. So EB1 is still the best category to apply.
Right. And that's why we're doing a lot of EB1As, and H1Bs is something we do all the time. Change of employer. And soon a lot of people who come to us are when they get a big RFE on the I-140. And these are the common problems I've seen. Bona fideness of the offer. That's very important. The ability to pay. And the third important thing is that even if your perm is approved and if your qualifications are not matching, I think that becomes a big problem. So can you let people know the importance of a proper, what I prefer doing, unlike most lawyers, is I always like to get the credential evaluation done first, because it helps you to kind of basically stay ahead of the game rather than putting the cart before the horse. What are your thoughts on that, Sonu?
Yeah. So for I-140s, what in my practice, what I do, even when I start the case, even during the prevailing wage stage, I get the evaluation then and there, even before proceeding further. Because these three that you referred, three topics, education, ability to pay, bona fide of a job. These are very three common RFEs at I-140 stage.
And one other thing is whether it's a skilled occupation, and secondly, where did the person acquire the 2-year experience? That's another thing we've seen. Because if that experience is acquired on the job, the standards are different because only 50% of those employees' duties can be considered. But the other 50% of what he acquired on the job is not going to be considered. So remember, folks, handling an employment-based green card can be very technical, requires a lot of legal knowledge, needs a thorough understanding. And what we do for companies, a lot of them come to us when they want to appeal the decision, when they want to make sure they do a refiling of the H-1B, when they're in trouble. And we've been handling a lot of H-1Bs for people and firm labor certifications, etc. But if you're in that situation wherein you want to you can also change your attorney. And we encourage you to talk to us. You can call us at 413 Gehi Law, also known as 413-434-4529. Again, 413-434-4529. And for our regular office, visit us at gehilaw.com. And for that, you can call us at 718-263-5999. And we can assist you with the immigration matters. For immigration, we handle cases from all over the United States and the world. Now, Sonu, sometimes I've seen this other problem. How long is it taking for people now to get the stamping done? And can they get the stamping done in the US right now? Or is that still kind of up in the air?
Okay, so about H-1B stamping, the processing time has improved a lot, but I still see people getting what is called 221G administrative processing, which means the consulate is not satisfied with your visa application and they want further information. And then we can help with that to preparing that response and respond to the consulate. That's one part of it. Another part, consulate within US. The US government has announced it, but they have not implemented it yet. The plan is probably September, October, but then we'll see when they announce further.
So now let me ask some questions to Meera. Meera, how are you today?
Good, sir. All good.
All right. So Meera, you are in our Mumbai office. How's the weather in Mumbai?
Very good, sir. It's raining very heavily from past 3 to 4 days in Mumbai.
Nice. And my question is that what are the most common questions you're getting about these people who are stuck up over there because their visas are not getting stamped? What's going on over there?
Generally, we get questions like, the visa denial. Right now, currently, if we talk about last 1 month, we are getting questions on a lot of F1
H-1B data, even H-1B denials, administrative processings, medical misrepresentations, and frauds. And you're seeing 221Gs, wherein administrative processing, we are seeing a lot of it. And as Sonu rightly said, and Meera is in BKC for people who want to know in Mumbai. And the thing is that what we do is sometimes we meet people in Mumbai too, or to make sure that exactly we go through stuff properly and we advise them. And also Sonu, since Meera is in the Mumbai office, 221Gs, we can take care of it if the right evidence is given to the consulate, Sonu.
Yes.
There's no fraud. So what would you like to say on that?
So if you receive 221G, please feel free to reach out to me. I have filed so many of them, and almost all of them gets approved once an attorney files a response to those, provided I receive all the documents from you.
Right. So Meera, the other thing is that in Mumbai, right, what I've seen is that you're located very close to the consulate. I think 10 minutes away from the consulate. So I believe like most of them, what you're seeing is either denial sometimes by the consulate. You're either looking at 221Gs, wherein they're asking for additional documents. Also, sometimes you're seeing some student visa denials. Sometimes you're also seeing a visitor visa denial. Sometimes you're also seeing fraud waivers, Sonu. In family-based immigration in Mumbai, we see that. Which means a person went to the Mumbai consulate, for example. That's what she sees. and he had committed a fraud in the past. And the good news for people, from the Mumbai offices, that if someone has committed a fraud, the good news for you is that there may be a fraud waiver under 212I of the INA. So 212I of the Immigration and Nationality Act provides us with a fraud waiver as far as you can show the hardship, and especially when you apply for an immigrant visa, to be more precise with, when we can show the hardship to the parents or to the spouse of the person, but not to the children. That's the difference between 212I and 240 of the INA, which serves very differently. And so therefore, even if you are anywhere in the world, Gehi and Associates can help you. We have clients from every part of the world, including Brazil and, beautiful countries, Suriname, Trinidad, Guyana, Brazil, or China. We have clients from Japan, from all parts of the world. So I think we have this great session. And as you all know, the name of this show is Green Card with Gehi. And there's some awesome news coming from Maliha. She liked the show so much that she's saying that we need to have this program every week. Right or wrong, Maliha? What do you think?
We should do this a lot more times, a lot more frequently.
And how will it help people if you have it regularly? Don't you think that knowledge is power?
Knowledge is definitely power, and moreover, I think it will be really helpful to people who are actually struggling, so we can really help them out.
Help them a lot. That is correct. So therefore, I think they need to go to gehilaw.com. And if you're in the Mumbai office, Meera is always there, and that's gehilawindia.com, I believe, Meera.
Yes, sir.
So folks, I hope you all had a great show, and it's time for any questions. Do you have any questions right now?
Yes, sir. I have got few questions from the audience.
Yes.
There's one question from an audience. Is H-1B, L-1 and O visas different in terms of the professionals' roles and qualification they cater to?
Yes, because they all have served different functions. There may be a certain amount of overlapping, but all those are different categories of the law. And you need to choose the pigeonhole that suits you the most. That's the best way to kind of describe the situation. H1 is different than an O visa, O is different than an L is different than a student visa. All of them serve different functions, and the roles are very different.
Okay. The second question has come to me, which is, how do visa denials impact foreign workers' employer recruitment plans?
So the question is pretty vague. So the question is that if your visa is denied, how can it impact American workers? One of the basic tenets of denying a visa is either because of fraud or because there are enough American workers under the labor certification process. So in the labor certification process, when you're applying for a green card for an employee, and if immigration sees that there are enough workers, then those cases can be denied.
Okay. The third question which has come to me is, do economic condition in USA influences the demand for foreign workers and in turn visa approval rates?
Okay, so for shortage occupations, they are far more lenient. So if you're looking at the healthcare industry and if you're very highly qualified, and if it's a not-for-profit petitioning your hospital for an H-1B, of course, the chances are much higher that you're going to get approved. So therefore, I tell nurses, all these great nurses in India and in different parts of the world, and we are also going to have our next session is going to be Sonu H-1B for nurses and not-for-profits. No one has done that. And we can just, blast it for nurses and from the Philippines, etc., and from different parts of the world. We will be having a session about it. And even Sonu for physical therapists. I've seen that when there's a demand, and I think they don't have to undergo the labor certification process.
Correct.
But that's
Correct.
a occupation. So there's a shortage. The good thing is that the government relaxes some of the restrictions, like in an occupational therapist, physical therapist to be more precise with, you don't have to undergo the labor certification process because that's in demand. Next question, Meera.
So the next question is, what are the consequences for an employer if they are found to have compliance issue with the labor and immigration laws?
Fines, penalties, jail time. Simple. And the problem is, as Sonu rightly said, a lot of these lawyers that they're hiring, they charge very little money, but they do not do the audits. A good lawyer who works with on H1B and everything, also does regular audits. But you cannot train a regular person working in that office to do audits. It's a different animal altogether. And companies have been fined a lot of money. One of the decisions was a class action, which was major penalties and jail time in certain instances. And also, sometimes you will not be allowed to petition employees in future because they cancel your subscription, as you know, Sonu, and won't be able to kind of, be listed on the Department of Labor site.
Okay. The next question is, does the US citizenship and the immigration services have a role in the visa application and review process?
Of course, they are the authorities who check everything up, and they are the people who actually kind of approve the visas. So, folks, the name of the show is Green Card with Gehi, and it's going to be held every Saturday, and we're going to keep it at around 11:30 rather than 11. So it's a fair time, 11:30 in the morning. So spread the message, and this is also going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be everywhere. Yes, Meera, your next question.
How can an employer navigate the Department of Labor requirement for visas like H1B and HB2?
H2B. So he can get in touch with Sonu, who does a lot of employment-based immigration. And the number for that office is 413 Gehi Law, 413 GEHILAW. That's the number for the office in Texas. For the New York office, everyone knows it. It's Mr. Gehi here, 718-263-5999 for the New York office. Yeah, please go ahead.
So far, only these questions I have received from the audience, Mr. Gehi.
And also, I think our time is up. If there's anyone who wants to get in touch with us, our website is www.gehilaw.com. And we handle immigration matters from all over the US and the world. Thank you, Meera, for joining us from the Mumbai office, from BKC. Thank you, Sonu, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you, Malia, for being with us. And thanks to Ashwit Gopa, as well as to Sabreen Matthew. And thank you to Meera, Sonu, Malia, Sabreen, and